I'd like to firstly acknowledge the fact that we showed up late, but you all stayed. Thank you for that. Honorable President of FTCCI, Shri Anil Agarwal ji, Jayesh Ranjan ji, my Principal Secretary, Mr. Anil Chalamala Shetty, the guest of honor today. Also, we have Shri Arun ji, we also have Suresh ji, we have Sudhakar ji, from Sudhakar Pipes, and Khyati, and to the entire family of FTCCI. Thank you for inviting me the third time, because there was a time when I was accused of not showing up for FTCCI events. But I think now that smear is gone. Now that I've done the hat trick, मैं 3 बार आ गया, तो अभी तो आप नहीं बोल सकते हो कि मैं नहीं आया. और मैं ये भी कहना चाहता हूं कि तेलंगाना बनने के बाद तीसरी इलेक्शन भी आगे आने वाली है. तो जैसे मैंने हैट ट्रिक किया आपके साथ, आप भी मेरे साथ हैट ट्रिक करो और मुझे वापस लाओ. ये भी आपसे कहना चाहता हूं. And going by the applause, I'm thinking we'll come back. Just quickly, Mr. Agarwal spoke about how the state has grown by leaps and bounds. Arunji also was pointing out to how this is a bright spot for the industry across the nation. Blowing one's own trumpet all the time is not a very cool thing, but it's my fiduciary responsibility also to make sure that all of you understand the kind of growth that we have witnessed over the last 9 years, especially as we enter the 10th year after the formation of the state. Let me quickly highlight a few things. Of course, governance is a permanent institution. Government is a permanent institution. The leaders who head the government might change, but it's a continuous process. Lots of times what happens is, especially from a business perspective, policy continuity is extremely important. There is one government during whose tenure you would have set up an industry, and you would expect that whatever promises were made by that particular government will be kept by the succeeding government as well, irrespective of political affiliations, irrespective of their overall strategies and overall worldviews. In Telangana, if you've noticed, over the last 9 years, you've seen a very unique model. I was mentioning it yesterday in a builders meeting. I think most of you who are seniors, and because you work in an organization which was set up in 1971, I'm presuming that most of you are Hyderabadis and who've been here for the longest time, for 3, 4, 5 decades and more. So let me give you 2 examples that you can relate to. Back in early 2000s and late 90s, we had a Chief Minister, Sri Chandrababu Naidu Garu, who had a very pro-business, pro-IT image. He was considered very business savvy, he was considered very business friendly, etc. And then in 2004, we had another Chief Minister, Dr. Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy Garu, who came in, who had a very pro-farmer, pro-welfare, pro-rural kind of an image. So we had a Chief Minister who was pro-business, pro-urban, pro-business, and then we had a Chief Minister who was pro-farmer, pro-rural, pro-poor. But today, if you look at Telangana, what makes this unique is KCR Garu has an image of both. In fact, it's a blend of best in both. We have a pro-rural, pro-agriculture, pro-welfare image. We also have a pro-business, pro-urban, pro-development image. Now, let me substantiate and let me back that up by a few statistics. As was pointed out, the gross state domestic product of the state in 2014 was 5,05,000 crore. Now it's 13.27 lakh crore. It's a huge, humongous growth, highest for any state in the country. The per capita was 1,12,000 in 2014. Now it's 3,17,000, highest for any state in India today. For the 28 states in India. Let me also point out the key sectors where we had to consolidate our strengths, where we had to ensure that all the synergies that are possible, in terms of, because, there is an existing ecosystem, so you'd want to build on, brick by brick that was built with a great deal of love and affection, great deal of effort in the past, had to be consolidated. So if you look at it, life sciences is a sector where we certainly added a lot of vigor, a lot of strength, and today we are a formidable force, not just in India, but also in the world. We produce 40% of India's pharmaceuticals from Telangana. We also produce 1/3 of world vaccines. And next year, in fact, we'll be producing 1/2, 50% of global vaccines. Let me also share with you, we have the world's largest number of US FDA approved manufacturing facilities for any province in the world. The largest number is in Telangana, 214. The second largest is in New Jersey with 189. So we have the largest number of such world-class manufacturing facilities right here. Not only do we have these, we are further consolidating on our life sciences strengths. So we have launched India's largest medical devices park in Sultanpur, Patancheru, which is again, which houses more than 60 units now, including the world's largest stent manufacturing facility. Also now, we're in the process, the last leg rather, of launching the world's largest pharma cluster in Mucherla, which is about 30 kilometers south of Shamshabad Airport. If you've heard me clearly, you would have heard not India's largest, but repeatedly world's largest. Now, one of the things our Honorable Chief Minister believes in firmly is, if we really have to compete with the world, with the large manufacturing countries across the world, be it China, or be it the US, or any other large manufacturing country, we need to operate on scale, at scale. Only then will you be able to bring in economies of scale, compete. I remember in this exact venue about 2 years ago, when Mr. Piyush Goyal was here, he and I, we sat with the All India Med Devices manufacturers as part of the annual flagship event of Telangana government, BioAsia. I had invited Mr. Goyal, he was here. So we were having a closed door discussion. So since it was a closed door discussion, we asked the representatives of the medical devices industry to speak freely and openly. And Mr. Goyal is a very progressive man, and he was very keen to hear from the industry. This was almost, I think, right around the time of COVID, 2 साल पहले. तो वो राउंड टेबल मीटिंग थी, उसमें से एक इंडस्ट्री लीडर ने, मैं नाम नहीं लेना चाहता, अच्छी बात नहीं है, वो खड़े हो गए, बोलने लगे कि सर बात ऐसी है कि आज मैं चाइना से कोई ग्लव या मास्क या कुछ खरीदता हूं और उसको शिप करता हूं हिंदुस्तान, हैदराबाद और wherever in India. It actually is cheaper than manufacturing here. Now you tell me what is wrong in what I said, or what, you want us to compete with Chinese, you want us to compete with other large manufacturing medical devices companies across the world. आप कहते हो आत्मनिर्भर भारत, कैसे करें बताइए? क्योंकि मैं वहां से शिप करता हूं, हजारों मील आती है, मैं टैक्सेस पे करता हूं, जो भी इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी से सब पे करता हूं, फिर भी वो चीप होता है, यहां बनाने से ज्यादा है. तो this is one thing that was pointed out, which really led to a lot of thinking, a lot of real churn. I mean, not just med devices. Today, India imports 78% of medical devices, 80% of edible oils, and the list goes on. The list goes on. There are several things for which we are heavily dependent. Even the pharmaceutical industry that I just talked about. Heavy dependence on importing APIs from China. So my point is, if we really have to make a statement and make an impact on the world stage, I think we have to think at scale. Our Honorable Chief Minister led a delegation to China in 2015 as part of the World Economic Forum summer event. He went to a place called Shichou. I think if I'm pronouncing it right, it's Shichou. He was amazed to see a 70,000 acre industrial park. 70,000 acres. When he came back, he told us, he said, they are on a different planet. वो अलग दुनिया में है, अलग planet में है. अगर हमारी मुकाबला उनके साथ करना है, तो हमें कुछ और ही करना पड़ेगा, ये नहीं चलेगा. ये जो हम लोग कर रहे हैं दिन दिन, ये नहीं चलेगा, कुछ और ही करना पड़ेगा. The point I'm trying to make, gentlemen and ladies, is I think federations are good, sense of competition among Indian states is good, but the fact is, even after 75 years of independence, I mean, I can take relative comfort. जब अनिल जी कहते हैं, अरुण जी कहते हैं कि तेलंगाना ब्राइट स्पॉट है, मुझे खुशी होती है, खुशी महसूस होती है, क्योंकि अच्छा लगता है सुनने को कि हम बाकी राज्यों से बेहतर है, बट एक हिंदुस्तानी होने के नाते यू ऑल्सो फील बैड। अच्छा नहीं लगता सुन के कि हम 78% मेडिकल डिवाइसेस इंपोर्ट करते हैं, 80% एडिबल ऑयल्स इंपोर्ट करते हैं। एज ए इंडियन सिटीजन, एज एन इंडियन, यू डोंट फील गुड अबाउट इट। सो माई हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट टू यू इज, आई थिंक तेलंगाना शुड नॉट जस्ट बी अ ब्राइट स्पॉट among all Indian states। हमें बाकी हिंदुस्तान को भी रास्ता दिखाना चाहिए और बताना चाहिए कि बिजनेस ऑन अ ग्लोबल स्केल इंपैक्टफुल स्टेटमेंट कैसे करना चाहिए। एंड आई रिक्वेस्ट FTCCI to start thinking big, to start dreaming big, to start really aspiring to do more things. I understand that there are impediments, I understand that there are always going to be challenges। और काफी बार मुझे ये भी सुनने को मिला कि हाँ ठीक है, पर अगर हम रिटर्न ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट इज गुड, अगर पैसा बना रहे हैं, सब चल रहा है ठीक ठाक, तो ज़्यादा सोचने की क्या बात है, जो चल रहा है चलने दो। और हिंदुस्तान में एक आदत हमारी है जो सब चलता है एटीट्यूड। आई थिंक एट सम पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, इफ इंडिया रियली हैज टू टेक इट्स प्लेस अंडर द सन in the first world where it rightfully belongs, we all have to start thinking big, we all have to start dreaming big. And I can give you 2-3 examples. There's a company in Hyderabad, Azad Engineering, I think it is called. I'm proud, they started right in front of our eyes. But today, they are working with global majors like Boeing, GE, and others. I was so impressed learning about this company and what the kind of partnerships they've been forging. Not just that, I'm equally impressed and equally proud that Skyroot, जिसका आपने जिक्र किया अरुण जी, the first Indian space tech company to have sent a rocket into the orbit came from T-Hub. And what's even more impressive is Elon Musk जैसे thought leader and a disruptor, उनको 3 अटेम्प्ट करना पड़ा SpaceX को ऑर्बिट में भेजने के लिए। बट हमारी जो हैदराबादी कंपनी है, हिंदुस्तानी कंपनी है स्काईरूट, उसने पहले ही अटेम्प्ट में विक्रम करके, विक्रम साराभाई के नाम पे जो रॉकेट था, पहले ही अटेम्प्ट में उसने स्पेस में भेजा है। इन द सेम वीक वी हैड अनदर Hyderabadi company called Dhruva Space, which also sent nano satellites into the orbit. I'm saying if these youngsters can conquer the space, they can tread new territories, and if they can conquer the unconquered, I think most of you who are experienced, seasoned, who have had stars in their eyes at some point, I think you'll have to start grooming your next gen and grooming your own companies to take on the big boys in the world. कभी का एक बार बुरा भी लगता है। Yes, we are proud of the kind of progress Indian industry is making. Of course, we take a lot of pride. But बुरा भी ये लगता है क्योंकि आज आप देखिएगा, आपके अगल बगल में देखिए, ज्यादा दूर की जरूरत नहीं है, आपके हाथ में जो फोन है, आपके हाथ पे जो घड़ी है, मैं जिसमें बात कर रहा हूं, श्योर करके कंपनी है, आपके हाथ में फोन होगी या तो एप्पल या सैमसंग या कोई और HTC या OnePlus, और आप घर जाके देखिएगा, आप गाड़ी में जाएंगे या तो मर्सिडीज बेंज या बीमर और वॉल्वो और किया और टोयोटा और समथिंग एल्स, होंडा, कुछ लोग महिंद्रा और टाटा भी इस्तेमाल करते होंगे, बट ज्यादातर लोग यही इस्तेमाल करते हैं। और घर जाके देखिएगा, ड्राइंग रूम में बैठ जाना, एक बार 360 देख लेना, कितने इंडियन प्रोडक्ट्स है ये भी देखना एक बार। आपके घर में जो टीवी है, आपके घर में जो वॉशिंग मशीन है, आपके घर में जो छोटे छोटे चीज है, 70 to 85% will be imported. And if you think for a minute, and next time you go abroad, जैसे अभी अनिल जी ने कहा कि हम लोग डेलीगेशन लेके गए थाईलैंड और वियतनाम, मैं सोच रहा था वहां बैठना, थाईलैंड में, वियतनाम में होटल रूम में देखना कितने इंडियन प्रोडक्ट है, शायद एक भी नहीं दिखेगा। मैं बात ये कहना चाहता हूं कि हां, हम लोग तरक्की कर रहे हैं, हम लोग प्रोग्रेस हो रहे हैं, बट दिस इज बिकॉज ऑफ द डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड दैट वी आर रीपिंग। दिस इज बाय डिफॉल्ट। We are not doing anything extraordinary. We are not doing anything extraordinarily innovative. Unfortunately, that spark जो था, लगना था। मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूं। मैं गया था जापान, एक 4-5 साल पहले, मैं, जयेश, हमारी पूरी टीम गई थी। मुझे वहां 2 चीज अच्छे लगे। एक तो पहले दिन हम लोग देख रहे थे, क्योंकि मैं म्युनिसिपल मिनिस्टर भी हूं, तो मैं देख रहा था सारा जगह साफ है, एकदम साफ सुथरा, क्लीन। टोक्यो में हम लोग इधर उधर जा रहे हैं, एक मीटिंग से दूसरा मीटिंग, कहीं भी कोई कचरा नहीं, कुछ नहीं। तो मेरे साथ एक जापानीज साथी था, वो इंडियन एम्बेसी का, उससे पूछा मैंने कि भाई क्या करते क्या हो तुम लोग, कैसे इतना साफ है? वो हंस दिया, कुछ नहीं बोला। मैं बोला एक आंख की रीत है। तो अगले दिन फिर से पकड़ लिया मैंने उसको। आई सेड हाउ डू यू कीप इट क्लीन, हाउ डू यू कीप योर सिटी क्लीन? ही स्माइल्ड अगेन, डिडंट आंसर। लास्ट डे आई सेड आई हैव टू होल्ड दिस फेलो, रियली गेट एन आंसर आउट ऑफ हिम। क्या ये लोग क्या 2, 3, 4, 5 बार क्लीन कर रहे हैं क्या सिटी को, क्या कर रहे हैं? तो आई सेड हाउ डू यू कीप योर सिटी क्लीन? ही स्माइल्ड एंड ही सेड वी डोंट डर्टी इट इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस। कॉमन सेंस है। उसने कहा कि अगर कचरा फेंकना ही नहीं है तो उठाने की जरूरत है ही नहीं। सिंपल लॉजिक है। दैट वाज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वाज वेरी इंप्रेसिव, द जापानीज माइंडसेट। द सेकंड थिंग, वी एंडेड अप एट Suzuki factory in Hamamatsu. From Tokyo, we boarded a bullet train. We went to Hamamatsu. We met with the chairman of Suzuki. And then, before the meeting, we were told कि थोड़ा वक्त है, थोड़ा समय है, तो आप ऐसा कीजिए, वहाँ म्यूजियम है, सुजुकी म्यूजियम है, वहाँ जाके आप थोड़ा वक्त बिताइए, एक 20-25 मिनट। तो हम लोग गए वहाँ पे, देख रहे थे। मुझे थोड़ा म्यूजियम मुझे पसंद नहीं ज़्यादा। मैं बस इधर उधर देख रहा था। इतने में चिरंजीवी साहब का वहाँ पे एक फोटो दिख गया, तो मैंने एक सेल्फी ले लिया, हमारे चिरंजीवी मेगा स्टार जो है उनका। और इतने में मैं इधर उधर देख रहा था तो देखा मैंने कि छोटे छोटे बच्चे, शायद दूसरी या सेकेंड और थर्ड ग्रेडर्स, किड्स इन सेकेंड और थर्ड ग्रेड, दे वर देयर, वो लोग टूर ले रहे हैं। तो मैं बोला यार, अगर फुली ग्रोन adult like me is getting bored or probably will get bored here, what will these kids do here? Second and third graders. So I asked this Japanese gentleman, I said, ये लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? तो उन्होंने कहा, just watch. So I was observing these kids. So interesting and so very engrossing also. They went to a kiosk, like the kiosk, how you have these, diet sodas and other, small knickknacks, right? So they went to a kiosk, और इस कियोस्क में ऑप्शन दिया गया बच्चों को कि कौन सी टाइप की गाड़ी आपको चाहिए सुजुकी में, कौन सी कलर चाहिए, कौन सी मेक चाहिए, उसको कैसे आपको कस्टमाइज करना है. So they go through a series of steps, like 5 different steps, and when they hit the 6th button, वो कियोस्क में से उस बच्चे का नाम के साथ एक गाड़ी आता है बाहर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, माई नेम इज राम, सो मुझे एक सुजुकी विटारा चाहिए, वो भी लाल वाला चाहिए. तो आई हैव टू गो थ्रू अ सीरीज ऑफ स्टेप्स एंड देन आई टाइप माई नेम, क्लिक, एंड द गाड़ी कम्स आउट विद स्मॉल miniature version, you get it. So I asked this gentleman, I said, what is the purpose of this? He said, most learning is incidental. Most of the learning is incidental. We make it like a joyous, playful experience, but we are inculcating design thinking from an early stage. बच्चे को हम ये उसके मन में बिठा रहे हैं कि आप भी गाड़ी बना सकते हो, जो जैसा आपको चाहिए वैसा बना सकते हो. ये कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है गाड़ी बनाना, ये बचपन से हम इंग्रेन करते हैं उसके दिमाग में. दैट इज वाई जापान is one of the smartest manufacturing countries in the world. This was the message that kids were being given. And the third and the most important thing I'll tell you about Japan, which I truly admire as a country. हमारी इंडिपेंडेंस मिली, हमें हिंदुस्तान को आज़ादी मिली 1947 में, आपको पता ही है. हम अभी 75 years हम लोग कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं. Right around the time of independence of India, Japan was the only country in World War II, around the same time, 2 साल इधर उधर, which was bombed. It was the only country in the planet that has been bombed by nuclear bombs. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we all know. They lost millions of lives. Japan's a country whose population is 12 plus crores now. 90% of their terrain is inhospitable. वहां लोग नहीं रह सकते हैं, या तो पहाड़ है, या जंगल है, या समुंदर है. And it's a very, very, it's a country that has been affected by all kinds of natural forces. There are typhoons, there are cyclones, tsunamis, earthquakes, and then they were bombed. Very few natural resources. But today, they're the 3rd largest economy in the world. Why do you suppose that is? Because the Japanese have decided that their fight is against the odds. उनके पास कुछ नहीं है, natural resources नहीं है, भगवान का मतलब दिया हुआ कुछ ज्यादा कुछ नहीं है उनके पास. एक ही चीज है, दिमाग है, उसको उन्होंने चलाया. एंड इन द लास्ट 40 years with relentless pursuit, today look around wherever you are, you will see a Japanese product. You will see either a television or a car or something that has been made in Japan. Now I think it is incumbent upon us to shed this conservative mindset कि हमें फिर से वो सेल्स टैक्स का क्या कह रहे थे सर आप, पर स्क्वायर फुट वाला टैक्स हटाओ। हाँ हटाएंगे, कोई बात नहीं, वो अलग बात है, बट मैं क्या कह रहा हूं, थोड़ा दूरंदेश की बात चले तो अच्छा है। आई थिंक वी कैनॉट बी क्लॉजेटेड, वी कैनॉट बी कन्फाइंड टू दिस थिंकिंग कि मुझे महाराष्ट्र के साथ कंपीट करना है, मेरी बिजनेस उस बिजनेस के साथ केरल के साथ करना है या तमिलनाडु के साथ या आंध्र के साथ करना है। नो, आई थिंक प्लीज स्टार्ट थिंकिंग ग्लोबल। एटलीस्ट नेक्स्ट जेन को थोड़ा बाहर एक्सपोजर दिलाइए। एक्सपोजर विजिट्स कांट बी अबाउट वन मीटिंग एंड देन गोइंग अराउंड एंड टूरिज्म देख के इधर उधर 4 फोटो लेके वापस है, वैसे नहीं। आई थिंक यू रियली हैव टू टेक आवर नेक्स्ट जेन यंगस्टर्स, द FTCCI young team, to actually visit some of these world-class companies and focus on making sure they come back inspired and do something truly outstanding. Because, the gentleman from SBI is here and he'll tell you, capital is not a constraint anymore. अगर आपके पास आइडिया है, अगर आपके पास दिमाग है और आपकी प्रोडक्ट में दम है, कैपिटल तो आज कहीं से आ सकता है। एक शाइनिंग एग्जाम्पल है हमारे गोपी यहां पे, अनिल चलमल शेट्टी। Let me tell you his story. He's a friend, so I know. Anil was also a software employee in London till 2010, I think. 9, 10? 9 or 10. His parents are doctors, so they actually gave him good education. But he's a first-gen entrepreneur. 2009-10 में उन्होंने अपनी कंपनी लंदन में चालू किया, जिसका नाम उन्होंने ग्रीन कंपनी, ग्रीन को करके डाल दिया। आज अनिल इज वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट renewable energy producers in the world, not India. So even our guys can do it. And how did he raise his capital? He has institutional investors, GIC, the Singapore government company. He has Adia, he has a lot of others, institutional investors. So if he can do it, I'm sure there are many of us here who can also do it, who can also dream big. Likewise, let me also tell you, today, not only raising a capital, but also the governments across the country, be it the central government or the state government. Today we understand you better than what we understood you 30 years ago. 30 साल पहले जब एक IAS ऑफिसर प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरी होता था या कमिश्नर ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज होता था, he used to sit in an ivory tower and you had to go and beg with them. वो लाइसेंस राज में आपको याद होगा, पैरवी करना पड़ता था। आज नहीं है। Today in fact we are coming to you, we are pushing you. Jayesh Ranjan is on his WhatsApp, I think almost 24/7. आप सभी के, मेरे को जहां तक जानकारी है, मैं तो ये समझता हूं कि इस ऑडियंस में से कम 80% लोगों के पास जयेश का फोन नंबर होगा। ही इज दैट एक्सेसिबल, गवर्नमेंट्स आर दैट एक्सेसिबल टू यू। आई मीन, दिस वाज नेवर द केस इन द पास्ट। द एंट्री बैरियर्स हैव लोवर्ड, it has become easy to do business. Today a state like Telangana tells you, if you want to start a new factory in my state, you don't need a permission, because आपको ये सुन के ताजुब होगी, you will be surprised listening to this. About 8 years ago, when Jayesh was Commissioner of Industries, I was not the Minister of Industry then, there was somebody else. The Honorable Chief Minister KTR Garu took a review. So as part of the review, he simply asked one question to the Special Chief Secretary Pradeep Chandra, who was the man who was looking after industries then, and to Jayesh, who was the Commissioner of Industries then. And I also see Ajay Mishra ji here. Hi, sir. So he asked one simple question. KCR Garu asked one simple question. He said, why should the government give any clearance to industry? Government को industry को clearance देना क्या जरूरी है? क्यों हम लोग ये 3 महीने 6 महीने क्यों लगाते हैं इसमें, और क्यों इंडस्ट्री को परमिशन देने की क्या जरूरत है? एक IAS ऑफिसर जिसने 15 साल 20 साल 25 साल सर्विस में बिताया, उसको एक नया चीफ मिनिस्टर उसके सामने बैठ के पूछता है कि परमिशन देने की क्या जरूरत है, तो जयेश और प्रदीप एक दूसरे के चेहरे देख रहे थे कि अभी क्या बोलना है, अब जरूरत क्या है कोई पूछ रहे हैं। तो देन आई थिंक दे रिकवर्ड एंड दे सेड, सर अगर कोई एक्सीडेंट हो गया, कम से कम अकाउंटेबिलिटी तो होगी, वरना परमिशन नहीं देंगे तो कैसे पता चलेगा कौन कर रहा है क्या कर रहा है। देन सीएम सर सेड, ओके लेट्स डू वन थिंग, जैसे हम लोग राइट टू एजुकेशन किए हैं, राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन कर रहे हैं, लेट अस मेक राइट टू सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन अ चॉइस ऑफ द इन्वेस्टर। अगर वो डिक्लेयर करते हैं कि आई एम गोइंग टू बी अ लॉ अबाइडिंग इंडस्ट्री, लॉ अबाइडिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन, देन लेट अस टेक इट एट फेस वैल्यू, सेल्फ सर्टिफिकेशन अलाउ कर दो। साथ ही साथ, बिकॉज यू सेड वी नीड कंप्लायंस, वी नीड इंफॉर्मेशन, let them also submit something online so that we have a record, we do good bookkeeping and we decide कि कौन क्या कर रहे हैं, कैसे कर रहे हैं. This kind of disruption and innovation in policy is what Telangana has indulged in over the last 9 years consistently. Not only in industrial policy, in TS I-Pass. 15 दिन में अगर परमिशन दे देंगे, अगर नहीं देंगे तो 16वां दिन ऑटोमेटिक अप्रूवल है. कोई हिंदुस्तान की कोई राज आपको नहीं बताती है. और जयेश जैसे सीनियर ब्यूरोक्रेट को भी आज 1000 रुपये का फाइन लग सकता है अगर आपका फाइल उसने 16वां दिन या 17 दिन आप अगर उन्होंने होल्ड किया हुआ है, तो ही कैन बी फाइंड अ सम ऑफ ₹1000 per day. This is by statute, by legislation. No Indian state will tell you this. And most importantly, not just in industrial policy, even our building permissions today. All building permissions, again in the same model. 21 days, we promise all clearances. If we don't deliver, 22nd day, it's a deemed approval. No state in India will tell you this. These are the disruptions our Honorable Chief Minister brought. That's why today, if somebody asks me, what is this Telangana model that you gloat about, brag about? I only say 4 things. It's holistic, integrated, it is inclusive, and most importantly, it's balanced. What do I mean? What I mean is, today Telangana, when I said Dr. Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy and Chandrababu Naidu, and the contrast between the two of them, and how Telangana is an amalgamation of the best in both. The reason why I say that is because we are less than 3% of India's population. But today, when National Panchayati Awards or National Municipality Awards are declared by Government of India, this state with less than 3% wins 30% of the awards. No other Indian state has been able to accomplish that kind of feat. We are only 2.5% of India in population, but we contribute to 5% of India's GDP. Literally, we are a 50-kilo boxer fighting in 100-kilo category, punching double our weight. Not many states in India can claim that. Most importantly, we have ensured that this development is holistic. We have not neglected any sector. Our IT sector and IT exports have risen from 56,000 crores in 2014 to 2,41,000 crores in 2023. Our IT exports have risen, but so have our agriculture exports. In 2014, we procured 68 lakh metric tons of paddy, rice. But today we procure 3.5 crore metric tons of paddy. So our balance that you see between agri and IT. Our industry has grown. $47 billion of investment has been attracted by Telangana state. As Jai said, 24% of that investment is repeat investment. Our industry has grown, has created jobs, but so has our environment. Our green cover has improved by 7.7%, highest in the country for any state. Now, this is the kind of balance I'm talking about. Our development and welfare go hand in hand. Our rural development, urban development go hand in hand. Our IT exports and agri exports grow hand in hand. Our industry and environment also grow hand in hand. That's why I call my state the most successful startup of independent India in the last 75 years. My humble request to FTCCI, I'm not happy with these relative achievements relative to other states. I think we have to do more. We have to achieve more. We have to really make an impact on a global scale. So my humble request, like I said, prepare the next gen to take on the world. Prepare the next gen to create products that will make not just Telanganites but India proud. And I hope FTCCI can drive us in that direction. You mentioned a couple of things, Anilji. I will of course take all of those issues up with you and your office bearers. I'll also have to run it by the Honorable Chief Minister before I can make any firm announcement here. But yes, the OTS that you mentioned, I will make it happen. I've already informed Jayesh to take up the matter. The one-time settlement of pending electricity arrears, we'll take it up, we'll get it done. But the बाकी दो चीज़ आपने बताया, मैं उसके बारे में मैं आपको अलग से privately बोलूँगा, and we'll make it happen, but just that we need our boss's blessing. So thank you FTCCI for inviting us. This is a hat trick, like I said, and I hope to come back next year as well and present the awards. Thank you. Jai Telangana.
Can we have a